Hi, I'm Bobby Cobb, and I'd like to officially welcome you to Spring into Mindfulness. For those of you who have been privately messaging me, say, come on, get on with it already. This is it. We are actually starting today. And I'd like to just start by asking you, how are you doing? And request that you don't just answer that reflexively. That's something that we do as a very common, unconsciously ingrained habit pattern. When somebody asks us how we're doing, we are conditioned to respond in the positive. And hopefully you are actually doing well, but actually check in. As a hypnotist, I do a lot of work with chronic pain, people who have no medical reason for feeling the pain that they are experiencing, or doctors have done all that they can do, but they're still not getting relief. And ultimately, they visit the therapist of last resort, which tends to be a hypnotist, and I'll ask that question and say, where's your pain today on a scale of 1 to 99? And the common answer is between 110 and 120, even though the scale doesn't actually go that high. But here's the cool thing. I'll say to them, no, really, check in, scan your body. And I'm going to ask you to do this now. Not looking for pain, just asking how you're doing right now. How are you actually doing? And the typical response then is more 50, 60, 70 ish. And an exploration of that with regard to pain has to do with, well, I was in a lot of pain this morning and I'm just kind of remembering that, or I'm worried about what I've got to do a little bit later today and I'm thinking about that. And that's amping up the response that I'm giving to you right now. And so this is about springing into mindfulness. Mindfulness, my definition of it, is being absorbed in the moment, being in touch with awareness, being in touch with everything that's going on with us right now and what's happening right now. So it's a place that many, many people don't actually go very often. Psychologists and psychiatrists and people who study things, neuroscientists, tell us that we think between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day. And the cynic will say that 99.5% of those are the exact same thoughts that we thought the day before and the day before that for weeks and months in some cases. So, over the course of the next 30 days, we're going to look at the result of doing that, the result of that time traveling. And this idea of pain management is a good example because that's what happens to us. We begin to identify with thoughts that we have, memories from the past, imaginations about the future, and that affects the way that we feel at any given moment in time. And I'm going to introduce you to some strategies that I've been using both with clients individually for the past 18 years, as well as organizations. That chronic stress can be something that is just dampening the level of communication, dampening the level of rapport, dampening the cohesiveness of any team, and eradicating that can really grease the skis and make the travel that we're making through life a lot easier, a lot gentler, and a lot more elegant, more full of grace, if you will. So we'll begin today with just a little bit of an exploration. And I want to take you on a journey just to really kind of demonstrate to you the power of our thoughts to influence how it is that we're feeling and what it is that we're experiencing, and show you a simple, quick, and easy technique where you can regulate that if you'll make the effort to check in and see How are you actually doing? To stop and ask yourself that question and to ask it mindfully, to really check in and just to see how am I doing right now in this moment. So, for the purposes of this little experience, this thought experiment, I'd like you to think about something in your life. It can be career related, it can be relationship related if you're in a relationship, and we're all in some sort of a relationship. We may have parents or children, a significant other, or the hope of having a significant other. Um, it could be something with regard to uh, a hobby that you pursue. And I would just like you to think about what pops up when I ask, what's something that you could do better in any area of those lives? What are something that you are consciously aware of that if you put a little bit of effort in, you could get significantly better results? You could do better at your job. You could increase the bond that you feel with a significant other. You could improve the relationship that you have with your kids or your parents or your siblings. Or if you've got a hobby that you're really passionate about, what's something that you could do that would really increase your enjoyment of that hobby and the results that you're able to get out of that? So just call that to mind. And normally, when I ask that question in a group and I'm able to get live feedback, it never takes more than a second or two for something to pop up. We are goal seeking organisms. We've been conditioned to want more. And typically, when we achieve a goal, one of the very first things that we do is start thinking about, wow, I've climbed this mountain. Now I can see this next vista. I wonder how much higher, how much faster, how much stronger I could go. Or in some cases, particularly for some people, if it's work related, you might say, wow, I achieved that results in 9 months. Or if I could do it in 6 or 3 or 1. We're always looking for better, stronger, and faster. It's something that's conditioned into us as Homo sapiens, part of our unconscious conditioning, the hypnosis of social conditioning. So if you've got your item now, I'd like you to think about how long have you been working on that? Is that something that just popped up fresh, an aha moment that you didn't realize before? Or more likely, is that something that you've been working with and struggling with for quite some time? And think about what are some of the things that you've done in the past to eradicate that particular problem, to fix it, to take care of it. How long has that been an open issue for you? And if you've got that now, think about what is it costing you, the fact that you haven't taken care of that yet? It's an area in your life that you're still struggling with. And once you've got that, think about what are some of the consequences, intended or unintended, that will result if that continues to be a problem for you in your life. Now, real quick, stop and check in and see how are you doing. My guess is on that scale of 1 to 99, if you fully participated in that little thought experiment, the way that you're feeling, your mental tachometer or your level of stress that you're experiencing, in all likelihood, probably just went up. And you may be thinking at this point, what in the world did I sign up for here? Where is this crazy hypnotist taking me? What kind of a journey are we on here? But there's a point to that. So you were where you were, wherever that was, when you initially checked in. By going through that thought experiment, in all likelihood, you amped up the level of discomfort, whatever it is that you were measuring that again in just a few minutes. just by following along with that little thought experiment. And what I'd like to do now is teach you a breathing technique that can significantly reduce the level of mental stress that you're experiencing currently. I'm going to teach it to you. I'm going to demonstrate it briefly. Then I'm going to ask you to pause this video and just practice it for a couple of minutes and see where things go. This is called alternate nostril breathing. In the world of meditation, it's something that's known as the meditator's cheat. And the reason is when we sit down to meditate, this particular breathing technique is something that will just eliminate the stress and strain that you're feeling in your day or your week or your month and bring you to a very deep meditative state before you even begin your meditative practice. And it is a valuable tool for regulating the amount of stress that you're feeling in a single day. So the technique is we breathe in and out, and at the top of the breath, we switch nostrils. We're only breathing in or out one nostril at a time. And we switch with a full inhale. And what I'd like you to do as you're doing this is breathe in as deeply without strain as you can, and breathe out as completely without strain as you can, and do it as slowly is comfortable for you. So it goes something like this. You're going to work with your hand and your ring and your power finger. Sorry, international salute. Um, so we're just going to start breathing in and then switch, breathing all the way out and all the way back in. Switch at the top, out and back in. And I'd like you to pause the video for 2 or 3 minutes, do maybe 10 cycles of that, and just monitor how you're feeling as you're going along on that scale from 1 to 99. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so what was the result of that? Now, normally, I do this a lot in groups. I speak a lot at organizations and um, groups that meet, lunch groups, Kiwanis and Lions Club, and those types of organizations, and take them through that exercise. And I want to begin kind of just wherever the people are through the conversation, amp them up to feeling a little bit more uncomfortable, and then teach them that breathing technique. And in most cases, the result is not only do you go back down to where you were before, but you get to a point where you're even significantly more relaxed. And I'm curious as to what your experience is. And part of being along this journey is we do have a group called Our Mindful Life. You're going to, if you've liked the page, you will have either been added to that group or very shortly be receiving an invitation for it. If you don't get the invitation, you can just look it up on Facebook, Our Mindful Life, and just request to join, and you'll be part of the group. And that'll give you an opportunity to interact with other folks that are on this journey. And I'm going to be doing some Facebook Lives in there where there'll be chances to ask questions and to interact there as well. And I would love for you to just jump in there and report what your experience was just doing that very, very quick exercise. And before we wrap up today, and these videos are going to be short, 10 to 15 minutes is what I'm shooting for, although I do tend to ramble, so some may be significantly longer. But I want to give you just an exercise so that you can do two things. Number one, interrupt the unconsciously ingrained habit patterns that you have in your life that are not serving you. So, first of all, let me just stop and explain what is an unconsciously ingrained habit pattern, a UEHP, if you will, a short acronym. It's something that we do so well, so unconsciously, that it does not require any critical thought, doesn't require our rational mind to be involved in the process at all. Whatever your morning routine is in the morning, that's in all likelihood an unconsciously ingrained habit pattern, UEHP. The brushing your teeth, making your coffee, the whole morning routine, you need to give it no additional thought. And as human beings, as Homo sapiens, that's one of our superpowers, that we can just get something and turn it completely over to our unconscious mind, leaving us free to consider other things. But it's only a superpower when it serves us. There's many of those that are not serving us. In fact, a lot of the work that I do in trance is helping people go in, take a look at some of these patterns, some of these limiting mindsets, limiting beliefs that are no longer serving them, allow them to deconstruct them, and in some cases, add an effectiveness layer and reconstruct them. In other cases, they've served their purpose and we just move beyond them. They're not working for us anymore. So over the course of the next 30 days, I'm going to ask you to interrupt some of these patterns consciously, to take a look and see how you're doing and find out, are some of these things that you're doing effortlessly, whether it's for good or bad, are they serving you anymore? Or have they outlived their usefulness for you? The second thing that we're going to do is build some new habits. They say, depending on who you listen to, it takes 21 or 28 or 30 days. This is going to be a 30-day long journey that we'll be on together. And through the process of this experience, I promise you, you are going to be looking at stress with a whole new level of insight that you've never considered before. And if you follow, if you play along fully, and you're only going to get as much out of this as you put into this. But if you play fully, if you play all out, I can promise that a lot of the things that have been stressing you in the past are merely going to just fall away. It's going to be an amazing journey. One other thing that I would like you to do, and that is take out your smartphone, set a reminder for 47 minutes, and just have it with a pleasant little tone. Doesn't need to be interruptive, a soft tone that's just a reminder for you to stop and check in and see how you're doing. As you do that, if you find every time that goes off at 47 minutes that you're a little stressed out and you're using that breathing technique that I just taught you to calm back down again. And I invite you to play with that several times a day. Breathing is the easiest of all of our bodily functions to leave to our automated systems, our unconscious processes, or to take full conscious control over. You can do it with way more of your processes than you actually realize that you can do it, but pretty much everybody can do it with their breathing with little to no training. So if you find out that in every 47 minutes you're getting a little stressed out, Shorten that time a little bit down to 37 or 33, 27, 22, whatever works for you, and just begin to notice what the effort of checking in and being mindful more often during the course of the day, how that affects you. And I believe you're going to find it's pretty dramatic. At least that's the normal reaction that I get from the hundreds of people that I've taught that to individually and thousands of people through some of the group work that I do. I look forward to hearing how it works for you. Ah, and one other thing, when that alarm goes off, check and see where are you. Actually, let me rephrase that. Check and see when are you when that alarm goes off. Are you in this moment right now? Are you listening to me fully? And is your mind absorbed with this message and what's going on? Or are you time traveling? Are you somewhere back in the past thinking about, oh my God, I can't believe the fight that I had with so and so earlier, and how am I going to get over that? What am I going to do? Are you time traveling back in the past, or are you worried about the future? Are you thinking, all right, shut up, quit talking. This is not such a short video. I got to do this, and this. So just check in and see where you're at, scale from 1 to 99. 99 is like panic. You're ready to run from the room and use whatever coping mechanism it is when stress gets more than you can handle. One, you're the Buddha there. Um, you're just relaxed. You're in a very, very peaceful Zen state or somewhere in between. So, where are you on the scale, and when are you in the timeline? Are you in the present moment, or are you time traveling? That's it for the day. Jump into the group and make a comment, ask a question. I'm going to answer every question that I can as quickly as I can that is asked in there. And there are a lot of other folks that are very skilled in these matters that are in that group as well. And I've asked several of them to jump in and weigh in as well. So that's it for the day. Thank you very much for joining us in this 30-day journey, and I will see you tomorrow. Ciao for now.